Okay, here we go. Good luck. I love you, Christy. I was having trouble with my sound. All right. So we started off with x equals 1/2 as a solution. All right. So if we take x equals 1/2 to find the actual factor, since the solution is 1/2, the first thing you want to do is you're going to solve this, but you want to clear fractions. You don't want any fractions in here. So I multiply both sides by 2. That way we'll get rid of this fraction. That becomes 1. And this side becomes 2x. Then you finish getting 0 on this one side by subtracting 1. And you end up with 2x minus 1 equals 0. When you got it equal to 0, that's when your factor, that's when you know your factor here from your going from the solution to the factor. So 2x minus 1 is one of the factors, and of course one of the solutions is 1/2. Now we go to synthetic division, which you did. We're going to divide by that solution, just like it is. Again, when you've got the solution, you don't change it to the negative. So we got 1/2, and you did the synthetic division, and you did all that. And you ended up with 2x squared minus 14x plus 20. Now we're going to go ahead and factor that. To factor that trinomial, any of them, you want to factor out any common numbers, okay? So these all have a factor of 2 in them, so we're going to divide them all by 2 and bring that factor 2 out here. So that leaves us, if we divide this by 2, we get x squared. If we divide this by 2, we get minus 7x. And divide that by 2, we get 10. So now we've got that 2 factored out. We're going to factor what's left here. All right, this is one of the easier quadratics to factor because there's just one x squared. It's tougher when you got a number here you can't factor out like we just did. So when you've got this trinomial with again 1x squared, you look at this, the plain old number right here. When it factors, it's going to factor into two things right here. I left the 2 outside. We'll put it back in a little bit. But two binomials here. And so we're looking for these two numbers that go in here. Okay. Well, what you know about these two numbers, when you multiply the number times the number, you're going to get this number right here. So the product of these two numbers is going to be that positive 10. And when you add these two numbers, you're going to get this negative 7 right here. This represents, this number that's in front of x represents the sum of those two numbers. All right, so you start with the product. What can you multiply to get 10? Well, I can multiply 1 times 10 and get 10, right? But if I add these, I get 11, positive 11. Okay, so that tells me right there, you know, both these numbers got to be actually negative, because you can't add up two positives and get a negative here. The sum, again, is negative 7. So, you know, they're both going to be negative. So it could be negative 1 times negative 10, because a negative times a negative gives you that positive 10, but they'll add up to negative 11, right? So those aren't the two numbers. So what else can we multiply? 2 and 5. But remember, they're both negative. So negative 2 times negative 5, yes, is negative 10. And when we, I'm sorry, positive 10. But when we add them, when we add these two together, the sum is going to be negative 7, the sum we want. So we know now that our two numbers that we're going to put in these parentheses as factors are negative 2 or minus 2 and minus 5. There we go. And again, that 2 was out in front. That 2 we factored out before. So now there's the factors from this. If we bring down that first factor we said, which was 2x minus 1, we have all the factors. Here's the 2x minus 1. So this is the factored form of that polynomial. Now to find the other solutions, we take these two new factors right here. We can throw the 2 out. It won't give us any solution. You've got the solution from this factor, which was x equals 1/2, the original one. The other solutions you find by setting these factors equal to 0. So if I take this one, x minus 2, and set it equal to 0 and solve for x, you know you're going to plus 2. Sorry about the crummy writing, but I'm in a hurry. Plus 2 to both sides, right? That's a 2. And that cancels out, and you get x equals 2. That's one of the other solutions. All right. So there's a solution. X is 1/2. Set this one equal to 0, this factor. X minus 5 equal to 0. And you add 5 to both sides. Of course, or solve it. Solving for x. And you get x equals 5. Let's see. I think I'm going to pause it in a minute and show you what the graph looks like too. Show you where these zeros are. So here's a solution. Here's a solution. We get 3 solutions. When you have something to the third power, you have possibility of getting 3 roots, 3 solutions. And of course, right here, this was the factored form. All the factors. 2 times x minus 2 times x minus 5 times 2x minus 1. Let me pause it and go find the picture. Okay, you should be able to see the screen of my fancy calculator here on the thing. I put in the polynomial 2x cubed minus 15x squared plus 27x minus 10. Now if I hit enter, I'm going to graph it. And what you're going to see is where these solutions are. So you remember one of the solutions was 1/2. And that is right here where I'm pointing to. Is where x equals 1/2. That's where it crosses the x-axis, the 0 or solution or root. And then one of our other solutions was positive 2, and there's that one right there where the graph again crosses at 2, and the other one was positive 5 right over here, okay, where x equaled 5. Okay, so there's where you see the answers to the solutions or roots. Okay, they're opposite looking than what the factors are. Hopefully I won't confuse you saying that. I love you, sweetie. I will work on the next video. It's a little longer.